Right mindset or not, you will lose and you will gain. It's inevitable. It's life. And look, whether you judge people as successful or unsuccessful, they also will get ups and they will get downs. They will get losses and they will get wins. You know, when I'm saying successful here, it's a judgment. Because as a society, we generally look at people and we say this is what success looks like, or this is what not being successful looks like. But regardless, both are coming to anybody. How often have we seen celebrities who are top of their game and they fall into depression, or they fall down from being absolutely famous to being no one? It's important to understand that it doesn't matter how good your mindset is, you will taste both. So you might be thinking now, oh, if working on mindset doesn't mean I'm going to be winning, what's the point of it? And it's a good question. One thing that's very common now, and I think actually all professional sports, you'll find that the professional athlete will have a coach, mindset coach, and they're teaching them all these things about mindset. Now, of course, that doesn't change. They still will lose some, they'll still gain some. Think about two fighters, they enter the ring, they go out battle at each other, and then one of them wins, one of them loses. Does that mean the one who lost has the worst mindset of the two? In reality, no. Mindset is about how do you handle your win and how you handle your loss. How that affects you, that is what mindset is. Everybody's going up, everybody's going down. No exceptions. Let's take the analogy of the fighters. So they go in, they have their fight, and then one wins. And this one, when they win, they feel like they're on top of their game. They're arrogant, even. That same fighter has another fight later on, and they lose. And they're very bitter about their loss. A fighter like that has a weak mindset because they didn't handle their up well and they didn't handle their low down. The same thing can be applied to if you're trying to date. So you see a girl, you speak to her, she gives you good feedback, you're on top of the world. Then you meet rejection and now you're on the bottom of the world. Weak mindset. One more example, if you're in the stock market. You're in the stock market, you get in there, your stock goes up, you're on top of the world, you're making all these decisions, and then your stock plummets. You don't know what to do, you just sell straight away. Weak mindset. Ronda Rousey, UFC, she was an MMA fighter, 12-0, never lost, and she was on top of the world. If you watch her interviews, she's there, talking very confidently, and then she made her first loss. And after that loss, she just could not get back into the fight game. She suffered from depression. She felt a loss of identity. It affected her self-worth, and she just couldn't bounce back. Then she had, after a hiatus, she stopped for a little bit. She went back into another fight and lost again. And at that point, she actually stepped away from the UFC or the MMA for good. Now, you see in that example, it's definitely not her body that made her lose, because I'm sure, and we're all sure, that she was not an average person. She was training hard. She had what it took to be a winner in terms of her physical ability, but the whole psychological effect, the mindset, was what cost it. Of course, she made a comeback and became successful in wrestling and such, so she found a way to bounce back. Georges St-Pierre, GSP. If you don't know this person, please look him up and just watch his interviews. Watch how he speaks. He's confident without being arrogant. He's got very nice emotional control, very respectful. His story in the UFC, he had been on a 12-0 run, And then he met his first loss. After the loss, his actual career took off. And he only had 2 losses throughout his whole career with 26 wins. And even the 2 losses, he rematched these guys and won. One thing, he mentions that with his loss is his resilience. He basically studied, motivated himself, and seeing what went wrong, what could I have done better, and then he was able to improve and set his record, becoming one of the all-time best fighters of all time. So what is mindset? Mindset is not about winning, not about losing. It's whether you win or whether you lose, you don't get crushed by it. That inability to be crushed by experiences, that is mindset. So this means mindset is an inner game. It's not outer. You need to get it right in here before you get it right out here. Because out here, the climate's going to change. Sometimes going to be rainy, sometimes going to be sunny. But in here, we need to have a gauge that centers you. So when you go up, and usually nobody focuses on the going up because that's what we want. But when your mindset is correct, when you go up, your mindset's like, okay, we've had our moment, get back into it. And vice versa. When you go down, your mindset's like, okay, you've had your moment, now let's recenter. One idea to conclude today is the idea of centering. So with mindset, it's always important to bring yourself back to a center. A center means a place where you just are. You neither high on top of the world or I'm not the bottom of the world. It's like you kind of like bring yourself in and you can watch both. Both can happen to me, and I will always find this place right in the middle. You'll find this idea in Zen Buddhism, you'll find it in Hinduism, even in the Abrahamic religions like Christianity and Islam. You'll find this idea there. Maybe we will go through this idea in a future video. But for now, remain centered.